Hi there. So, it's been suggested to me that now I have a fairly ridiculous size stash, that I should maybe perhaps think of doing some reviews of some of them so people can see. Some of them are fairly obvious kits that many people have, others perhaps slightly less obvious. So I'm going to start with a slightly less obvious one, which is the new RS Models Twin Pack 2-in-1. Kawasaki KI100 Mark II. That's the low back with this section here all open. And the slightly unusual P51H, the lightweight model. Came a little bit too late for action during the war, but did see some service with the Air National Guard. Which brings me to the back of the pack. Sorry, wrong way up. Which shows that they are both in fact what-if markings. The Mustang showing their potential if it had been in the made it into the war as a Stinger 8 in 1945 what-if marking, and the Kawasaki there as though again it had just about made it into the war. Now both of them are available in other boxings, Air National Guard for the Mustang and some again just after the war markings for the Kawasaki, but even still, let's see what we've got here. Across the one side here we have some other model kits from the company, again perhaps slightly less obvious models that wouldn't be boxed elsewhere. And on the far end here, contact details about the company and the usual health and safety bits, keeping away from tiny children. So let's take a look at the actual kits. Side opening box. I'm afraid to say, not a big fan. Sorry about that, Rebel. But we can get hold of them. Here we go. Let's take a look at everything. I'll pop that over there. I suppose I should mention that this kit, of course, is available from most places, Hannants, etc. I got mine from the rather great MJR Models on Facebook. Go and talk to Mike Jolly. Let's have a quick look at the actual instructions, first of all. Now, they does appear to be on, although in full colour, it does appear to be on what I would say is photocopied paper. So not the greatest quality, but clear enough, I should think, for most people. So we start off with, move that away. We start off with a blurb about the P51H, again the lightweight models that didn't quite make it to the Second World War. Interestingly, didn't actually make it to the Korean War either, even though they were out and about by then, as there were so many P51Ds around, they could still use those. Parts call out and our symbol descriptions, so paint, do not glue, whatever. Starting off with the usual cockpit, looks like that could be quite nice detail. A few little bits being colour call outs, etc. How you should do it in place. Moving on then to the instrument panel, pedals, and starting on the radiator, which of course quite a famous and fairly obvious thing you can spot on Mustangs. It looks like quite a detailed tail wheel. I must admit, quite impressed by that. It's going to be quite fun to get that all in place and not get it knocked off. So you're then popping the everything into place, again starting with the cockpit and the radiator there. A little bit for the chin there as well. I might have to look at that when we see the actual kit itself, if that's an insert or if that's just the bit inside. Going into the wheel wells then, some more details on the tail. Doors, I'd probably leave those off to the end, but we'll take a look. And so sorry, underneath the putting in the wheel well. What's this bit here? What are we looking at? Of course. Sorry, that's the front end of the radiator there, going in that direction. Starting with the undercarriage, quite different from the P51D, quite a bit smaller. Part of that lightweight part. More undercarriage, again more details on exactly which way around you should put it, so there's no mistakes. And then just finishing off some of the more smaller details there. That's resin fuel tanks, should you wish. And then finally the one-piece cockpit. I know, by the way, that it's actually got a large part of the frame around it as well, so that should actually make mating it to the fuselage and looking tidy a little easier. But your one piece, unfortunately. 4-blade propeller, as we expect, and approximate stance. Again, you can see the rather different undercarriage there in the tall tail of the P51H. So, pop that to one side, and we'll take a look at the actual kit. We should have opened this previously, but I'm quite surprised to see, I've got what I didn't expect it, resin parts, especially for the price of the kit. This particular kit can be picked up for as little as sort of 12 quid by itself. This was 18 for both of them, so well under a tenner a piece, so really quite pleased. Pretty much in all one bag, which is always disappointing, but we shall see. Okay, so first sprue. Put that around. Here we go. So we've got some details with the wing and some bits and pieces from the inside there. Now I'm really impressed, I've got to admit, with the panel lines there. They are very fine, very straight, and it's a nice level of detail for the scale. Try and get my camera to focus. There we go. And some smaller details. Again, instrument panel looking lovely, especially at this scale. You won't see too much inside that canopy, but be really careful of that seat there, mind you. No buckles, but again at this scale, very easily done. Just looking, even those actuators are very, very nice. Please note the landing and navigation lights on the tips there, more like a modern aircraft. Again, different from a P51. Main cockpit parts, and showing off that tall tail. Again, absolutely lovely levels of detail there. Nice restrained detail. Let me see the, if I can get the camera to focus there, you'll be able to see that lovely mesh there that's seen on certain models. The curved floor, which of course apart from the radiator. The 4-bladed prop, the smaller wheels. And then we go into resin parts, which I wasn't expecting, quite pleased to see. Resin, of course, a lot of people are scared by, but realistically nothing to be frightened of at all, just means a little bit more careful cleanup, and of course using super glue instead of your usual glue. But you can see the level of detail you can usually get with resin parts is much, much bigger. Now that does look like a section that's going to have to be filled, unfortunately. Come on now, focus, there we go. Yep, that is a massive bubble, which is rather unfortunate. A little bit of flash on this, but again, nothing that won't just might come off with the finger. Now, this is something you do have to understand with short run kits. You will get perhaps a slightly lower level of quality in certain aspects than otherwise you would. But for that trade-off, you usually get very, very nice levels of detail. And of course, subjects that you perhaps wouldn't get elsewhere. Some rather nice fuel tanks here that I didn't see in the instructions, so I might have to look for the references for that one. Some other smaller details here. Looks like maybe some parts of the cockpit. Lovely. Add into the clear part. Now that is quite thick, if I'm completely honest. Again, struggling to focus with my phone, but I still like the fact that front section there can actually be painted off and hidden away. It'll be much, much easier to smoothen that section into the front. But fairly good. Again, at this scale, pretty good. Quite pleased with that. And then I suppose we are on to the Kawasaki. Right, Kawasaki details. Again, very simple. Small blurb at the top. Parts call out. Again, some resin parts there, looking at that. Going in, first of all, with the interior again, looks very detailed for the scale. Got the bits for the machine guns in the nose there. poking out, more like a Messerschmitt 109. More parts going on into the cockpit, more details, and a resin engine, it appears to be. So, look very nicely at that. More details exactly how you should set up the propeller there at the front. It looks like potentially quite a complicated cowling there to get that top piece in. So maybe some test fitting to make sure you get that all nice and straight. It does actually look, even though it's a lovely detailed resin engine, it does look like there's no obvious way of leaving it open. So if you did want to show off that resin engine, then there may be some cutting and shunting to be done, which is a bit unfortunate, but still keeps the kit nice and simple. Again, right, okay. So there's a little section there apparently you will need to fill in if you go for a certain version. Again, check references with that. Prop going on. Tail, some nice info there, exactly, should be perfectly 90 degrees. Some pitot tubes and stuff, probably left off to the end. Tail wheel, and then we're going into some, looks like supercharger detail. That's quite nice. On the bottom, and then we've got the canopy going on, and the undercarriage. Again, fairly simple, quite thin. Let's take a look at that. Fuel tanks and some of the more smaller details. Again, very sort of Zero-like in the way that they line up. Let's look at the parts. Totally different colour plastic, which is kind of interesting. I'm wondering if that means it maybe come from a different building, perhaps. Again, RS Models being a very small company, so you shouldn't expect perhaps the refinement that you would get with other companies, but again, lots of detail and unusual subjects, so we'll win. Okay, so first sprue there, again looking at the actual fuselage, again very happy with the levels of detail there, very refined, very straight. Touch of flash here and there on some pieces, but again absolutely nothing. Say for example there, inside the cockpit, again if it will focus there, quick swipe at the sanding stick, that'll be nothing. Again, lovely looking tail here. There's a little bit of whipping maybe. Nothing again under a decent undercoat. You would notice there's that section just under the radiator there where it said you may need to fill that. So let's check references again. Beautifully detailed little instrument panel there. Good focus on me, not on... there we go. Again, a little dry brush, that would look lovely. Second sprue there. Wing and smaller details. Lovely cockpit floor there. Again, wing details. Focus. There we go. Looking absolutely lovely. Easily up there with some of the best ones. Again, you can see a little tiny bit of flash around the back there. Nothing that doesn't need very quickly cleaning up. Should do easily. Wheels looking fairly simple. Instrument panel, more instrument panels. No, those are for the undercarriage. Okay. Should note both of these kits by rather large injection marks, but on the underside, well away from anywhere important. So, quick swipe, clean those off, and you're away. Now, of course, I can't speak for how well this kit will actually go together until I try, but certainly I am very impressed so far with the levels of detail there. Nice, very nice. And into the resin and clear parts here. Now, for those people who don't like masking canopies, I'm told that Montex do a set for both of these kits. If you want to spend another extra couple of quid on the pre-cut canopy sets for these, so especially on some of your Japanese subjects where they're very heavily framed, make that a lot easier. That looks actually quite a bit nicer than the Mustang one. Very clear. and perhaps a touch thinner, maybe. Yeah, perhaps a touch thinner. Like that, like that. Now here's the one, of course, this beautiful resin engine. If I can just get it to focus there. That's nice, especially at this scale. Really what you wouldn't expect, to be honest, maybe on 1/48th. But not 1/72nd. Again, trying to get the thing to focus on what I want, not on the background. There we go. Like it, like it. And some smaller parts. That's the supercharger. And I'm not quite sure what that is. That would have to check. Oh, of course, that's for the radiators at the sides. So, liking that. And finally, if we just move away, of course, the what if markings here again. Now, as I say, both these kits are available in other boxings. Interesting that none of the green sections for the Mustang are there, apart from the lines, so green sections will have to be painted separately, but nothing too difficult. Looking at them again though, very nice register. Little tiny thick, little tiny bit glossy, but absolutely nothing some setting solution will do. Nice details on the tail for the Kawasaki there. That will look nice in place. All in all, very impressed. I think overall, with a bit of work, again remembering these are short run kits, I think all in all, you should make a couple of very nice 1/72nd and very smart kits. So, thank you very much for listening, and I'll be back again soon.